CNN and the Western media that has brainwashed the Western populace in terms of geopolitical politics. But do you think people like Lula in Brazil, do you think African people who have generational trauma because of Western imperialism, you think African people who've been victim of, for example, Queen Elizabeth, what she did in the Congo, the fact that Biden's literally bombing Africa right now, the AFRICOM program. Meanwhile, look at how many Russian imperial flags are there. So you guys think these people are going to look at the Western talking points that is already weak and they're going to side with the West? No. So I want to get your reaction to this. I have a few stories I didn't get to on Nick at Night. That was fun with Andrew and Zoya. Andrew becoming a regular at Nick at Night.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, I think.
Yeah, with Andrew, Zoya, and Carlos, who's also going to be an alternate regular on there. Like, we never can get through all our stories because there's always so much to talk about. But this is one of them I want to bring up as well because it fits what we were just talking about. We was playing the Western propaganda on Ukraine that no one's falling for. That's why the NATO left is so embarrassing. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Vosh, and all these people are falling for propaganda that everyone in the world sees through, CJ. Now, the Western cope on this has been hilarious. Because look at this. Ukraine appeals to African leaders. Moscow has been winning the propaganda war across the continent. Can Kyiv change perceptions? Oh my God, we are struggling to get Africans on board to support arming and supporting Nazism. What? Yeah, no wonder you're struggling in this. Now we got a few more in Africa. Anthony Blinken sees limits of U.S. influence abroad, which any anti-imperialist should be cheering for. I've been waiting for this, CJ, my entire life. You finally got countries in the global South that is not being afraid to stand up to the United States anymore. And there's another story I may get to later in the stream. We was about to cover this on Nick at Night. AMLO is leading a global coalition against the Cuban blockade and has renounced neoliberalism. I don't know if you saw that, CJ.
Yeah, I did see that.
Lula is getting better. Like, Lula has been disappointing in some things. But Lula, in terms of calling out the Cuban blockade on NATO, like, he's been surprisingly good on some of these things. And that's another story. But you're seeing Western influence starting to wane. You have Africa. I'm kind of blocked out here, but I'll just read the headline. Russia's growing trade in arms and oil and African politics. So the West is like, holy shit. Why you guys think the propaganda campaign you've seen have ramped up to literally the nth degree? Because you don't do that when you're comfortable, when you're ahead. You don't get desperate when you're ahead, right? They're drowning and underwater, and they are desperate. They are desperate. That's why you see the propaganda you do, which leads to this story as well, which gave me a great chuckle. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, I
can't wait for this article, and I saw some people, because this tweet went around, and some people were like, this article is being critical of Russia, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly the point. I'm looking at the same way we analyze Warren Joe propaganda. There's so many people that didn't realize what I was doing here. Where look at the point of view, and this is the cope. This is the cope of the West. How do you explain to the NATO left, the people who feel like they're standing for Black and disenfranchised people, that they are on the wrong side? Oh, it's the dumb Africans who are being tricked again. Why Russia markets itself as an anti-colonial power to Africans. Now look at the sub-headline. Colonial exceptionalism and a victim mentality are integral to Russia's self-image. So when Russia go to Africa and points out all the crimes of the West, and in Africa, like, hell, Putin got a good point here. The response that comes from the West is to say that they have a victim mentality. Oh my God, yeah, we genocided a few of your people. Yeah, we carved up your land. We carved up your lands and destroyed cultural landmarks and geography for our imperial conquest. Yeah, we destroyed and planted generational trauma on your people. But why are you guys still bitching about it? The same people that say never forget over any fucking thing that happened over here. 9/11, 30, 20 years ago. Never forget that. But they want Africans or other people to forget what the hell the West did to them. So what Russia has been doing is just going over there and nudging them and like, hey man, and we really fucked with you. We just want to do business. The United States seems like they keep fucking with you. Do you want to end them messing with you guys. How about you have an alternative to that, which is they build it with bricks, and this is the cope they come with. It's stories like these. And last thing I'm gonna read, I'm gonna just turn my audio on there real quick. This last part of the segment is not super long segment. I'm gonna cover the African-Russian relation update, and because this come from African countries here, they came from Breakthrough News. They do good anti-imperialist reporting. So let's listen to this. And this is a very.
Yeah, I think I saw that one too. Yeah,
yes,
this is good.
China has been there for us. The USA has not been there for us. When Southern Africa was on fire fighting the apartheid regime, the USA sided with the apartheid regime of South Africa. They did not side with the African people. They never supported the ANC. They labeled Mandela a terrorist, but today they exalt Mandela in all sorts of ways. SWAPO was a terrorist organization in Namibia.
Isn't that exactly what they did to Pat Tillman and George Floyd?
Yep.
And now Tyree Nicole. They villainized Nelson Mandela, labeled him a terrorist, and now after the West was his enemy, now they hold him as a beacon. Like, look at what the value that we all stand for. Look, we stand with the values of Nelson Mandela. No, you guys use the people you guys go after and use them as PR. It's disgusting. They did with Pat Tillman, the guy the military killed because he called the wars. And they had him at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Martin Luther King. They did it with Martin Luther King. They did
Everybody.
it. They did it all. Yeah, they did all of them. They making money off Fred Hampton. That's white people making off that money off that movie. They're paying these actors $25 million. Imagine how much they're getting off of this. So don't think that it's even. But anyway, I don't want to go on that tangent.
Yeah.
But so Africans, the whole propaganda spiel that the United States has about what Africans are choosing to do with countries like Russia and China is just simply the dumb Africans are being fooled. Is never. That's literally it. You've never seen any other. Because I'm trying to imagine what other counter could they have to this. There's really no other counter but this illogical reason. Go ahead.
Especially liberal papers like the New York Times, the Washington Post, they try to be careful with it, but the implication is definitely there, and they know they can get away with it because even their bourgeoisie boutique liberal like New York $250,000 a year worker, they have these initial biases as well. They like repress it deep down in the same way that they project on Donald Trump. They project that Donald Trump is a racist, which he is, but they project that on him because they know deep down they are. Because I've explained many times, the most racist interactions I ever had was with a white liberal, not the typical redneck, as you expect in Missouri. So there are these white liberals that we read the Washington Post, New York Times, who read the subtle subliminal message sent by the New York Times and Washington Post that Africans are being tricked by China and Russia. That they don't know what's good for them. It's that they're goddamn smart Russian and China. You know how white people always, especially they push that Asian people are smarter than black people. So they like, oh, the Chinese tricked Africans again. It's imperialism. No, Africans like, no, we prefer to do business with these people because they're not fucking psychopaths. It's just that simple.
Is there anything they can do, or is there anything they're doing to sort of pay back or retaliate against some of these changes that African countries are deciding to go with, China and Russia? I mean, I haven't really heard any major pushback besides the propaganda game in the media, and I'm not sure what that would get them. Like the Africans aren't reading these propaganda stories; these are just Americans. These are just Americans.
This is only working in the boutique left, the NATO left, and the liberal media sphere, and the neocon media sphere. As we also with the Tim Pool interview, there's even like pushback on the libertarian right and people who definitely not like left, right? Definitely not socialist, definitely not Marxist, but even they push back against Ukraine war funding because it's something that anyone who is not even a left position. That's why Bernie and AOC and the NATO left getting it wrong is such a damning stain on their record because anyone should get this right. Even if you're a social democrat, there's no reason for you to get this wrong. I believe so. If you're a Pete Buttigieg liberal, there's really no reason for you to get this wrong. They just do. But anyway, let's continue this clip. And if you don't mind, I think the ammo story is real quick. I'm gonna interject it quickly after this.
Yeah, I don't care which order we could do.
I just interject that real
I
quick.
think we'll get to everything. I think we'll get to everything. Even the Tim Pool stuff is not it's not going to be that long of a segment.
Yeah, no worries, because mine's a shotgun story anyway, because these are just stories I didn't get a chance to cover on Naked Night. But let me finish this video, and then I get to the last story. Then I pass it to you, CJ.
They labeled Mandela a terrorist, but today they exalt Mandela in all sorts of ways. SWAPO was a terrorist organization in Namibia. ZANLA and ZIPRA in Zimbabwe were terrorist organizations. They were not on our side. They were on the side of the oppressors of this continent. They participated in the killing of our leaders. The USA participated in the killing of Patrice Lumumba. The USA participated in the toppling of Kwame Nkrumah. The USA participated in the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi. The USA participated in so many coups on the African continent. China has never participated in any coup. China has never killed a single African. How many Africans has the USA killed?
CJ, this is why our rebuke of their anti-China warmongering, their anti-Russia fear-mongering is so devastating, because they say stuff like this on Morning Joe and MSNBC all the time, where they say China is a threat to us, and we just ask the very basic question: how are they a threat to the average? How are they a threat to our hood? The average liberal don't think that much about it. They hear China's threat, so they assume that a military threat, it may be a threat to their job or economic situation. No, China's not a threat to my job or economic situation. China's not the reason why I got members of my family who struggle. It's their ruling class who sees their means of production and still their labor value. China has nothing to do with your manager and the professional managerial class stealing your labor value. In fact, I'm not going to make the argument because it'd be a long stream, but I would make the argument that global solidarity and people working together instead of fitting arms industry because you want never-ending conflict will increase the quality of life for everybody. That is China's goal, whether you agree with their economic model or not. They are saying to Saudi Arabia, to South Africa, to all these countries, I don't care about what your policies are. We just want to increase the quality of life for everybody. And that is a threat to the capitalist model that relies on exploitation and poverty. That's what they mean when they say China is a threat. China is a threat to their economic model and their ideology, not a threat to you. Not a threat to you.